What's going on, guys? CTG Matt back. The NBA playoffs are on, but I realize that not every team is in the NBA playoffs. Some fan bases are starving to watch their favorite team play. They're starving to watch their favorite team do something, so today we're going to do off-season previews. Not for every NBA team, but I do just want to go over some potential free agents, as well as, I've categorized all of them. So that should probably help you a little bit too. And we could talk about potential fits or who's going to go back to their team. Basically breaking down every player that could hit free agency or will hit free agency this upcoming summer. Don't forget to like, subscribe if you're new. Let's keep it moving around here, though. We're going to go into the first category that I have as best available UFAs, unrestricted free agents. So guys that could sign anywhere. They can do whatever they want. They have free will. This is not in order. There's no order to the UFA list because I'm not going to sit here and rank between Malik Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr. I don't really care. At the top, we have Guerschon Yabusele, who just had a fantastic season with Philadelphia, playing a small ball 5 role, sometimes even a 4 role. He can step out, he can knock down the 3, he attacks the basket well. He's had some dunks this year, even though he's kind of a thick boy, he still gets up there enough to yam it. He's had a couple of posters. Defensively, holds up well as a 4, better than a 5. If he's playing your 5, he's only like 6'9". You're not going to get the rim protection necessary, but if he could start at the 4 and he can knock down his 3s, as well as attack closeouts, there's a lot of value there. But speaking of attacking closeouts, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, this guy puts together just fantastic game after fantastic game. I feel like every time I watch the Timberwolves, Nickeil's having a good game. But that's just Nickeil Alexander-Walker. A hustle guy, good on the perimeter, very good perimeter defender, lengthy, guard skills, but not like playmaking guard skills. Like he can put the ball on the deck, and you'll be able to feel comfortable with that, but he's not getting into his bag. He's not his cousin Shea, is what I'm trying to say with the ball. But Nickeil is a fantastic player in his own right, another 3-and-D guy. A bunch of these guys, I wonder what their best fit is. As for like a Nickeil Alexander-Walker, I hope Minnesota wouldn't let him walk, but as a UFA, there's a good chance somebody gives him a bag somewhere. And who do I have as those potential bag givers? I don't know. Maybe a Portland. They don't really need wings. I don't know. Portland's in a tough spot because I think they're going to have money, but at the same time, I don't know if they're going to spend money because they do have a bunch of young guys, Henderson, Simons, Sharp, Klingon, Avdia. They have a bunch of younger guys, so I don't know what they're going to spend here. I could also see a team like Orlando. I want to say Orlando for a lot of these shooters, but at the same time, they've gotten bit a couple of times now on buying those high-gravity shooters like KCP. But Gary Trent Jr. is up next. He's another 3-and-D guy where I think he works best in Milwaukee, but the only reason Milwaukee even got him to begin with was because nobody else signed him, and he took a very small vet deal, vetman basically. And what he provides is fantastic to an NBA team. He's another guy who can attack closeout. He can hit a mid-range. He can hit the mid-range shot. It's not your preferred destination for Gary Trent Jr. to shoot the ball, but he can make layups, and, he actually doesn't really make layups at a very high rate. But he can hit the mid-range. He does hit threes, and he steals. He gets a lot of steals. He's not an elite defender, but he will get a couple of turnovers, force a couple of turnovers here and there. He jumps passing lanes very well. This is another one where it's like, I don't know what the market's going to be. And this is the issue with that second apron, that new apron that everyone's talking about. The fact that somebody like Gary Trent Jr. may go unsigned again after having a really good year. The guy just had 37 in a playoff game, for Christ's sake. Someone should pay him. But at the same time, how much of a long-term investment with these new cap penalties do you want to put on a guy who, has been up and down in his NBA career, to say the least? Speaking of up and down, it's Splash Mountain. Get it? Because you have to go up the mountain and then down the mountain. It's a A+ joke on my part. Don't boo. Brook Lopez is old, ancient, some may say, but there's still value there. Elite rim protection. That's just Brook Lopez's thing now. Realistically, I don't remember him being an elite rim protector in Brooklyn, but I do remember LA for that 1 year, 2 years, whatever. And then he comes to Milwaukee, has this career renaissance where he's NBA champion. Brook Lopez, I don't know if he's going to retire. I doubt it, though. He's a guy who still has something left in the tank, even though he's having a kind of a struggle bust in the playoffs. I'll tell you that much. I haven't really noticed him much. I could see a team like Charlotte going after a Miles Turner type. I love Miles Turner. A consummate professional, a great off-the-court type of guy. Builds Legos, for Christ's sake. He's a class act. And on top of that, 40% three-point shooter. Can attack the rim. You saw him dunk on Giannis the other day. He's 7 foot. Either way, dunking on somebody 7 footer, dunking on 7 footer is still impressive. I don't care about the size. But Miles Turner is an elite rim protector and a very good 3-point shooter. But he's more athletic than a Brook Lopez. So while Brook Lopez and Miles Turner do essentially the same thing, pick and pop, stand behind that line, knock down the 3-point ball, and protect the rim, Miles Turner's far more athletic. Obviously, he's got like a decade on Brook, age-wise. So Miles Turner is a premier, maybe one of the premier free agents in this class. Like I said, I could see a team like Charlotte reaching for him. Let me move my camera over. Simply because, yeah, I like Mark Williams. He's a decent little center. But overall, I don't think Mark Williams is a long-term investment, especially because he can't stay on the court. He just doesn't. So I could see a Charlotte reaching for a Miles Turner, especially when he has no character concerns, and that's a thing in Charlotte right now is they got the running, I don't want to call it a running gag because it's really not that funny, but a lot of off-the-court nonsense in Charlotte. You need a guy who's going to come in there and not be a headache in the locker room, and that's Miles Turner. I listed Steven Adams here simply because he's had a very good playoff run. He's been electric for the Rockets, necessary. He had a big block on Jimmy Butler last night at the time of recording. That was a beautiful play by him. Steven Adams has been needed desperately by the Rockets in this playoff run. He's been the X factor, and even though they're down 3-1, Steven Adams has kept them in games for a lot of it, simply because the Rockets can't score the damn ball, so you need an offensive rebounder in there. Who's a team that needs offensive rebounding? Milwaukee. I don't think that's a Steven Adams spot. Indiana, if Miles Turner leaves, they could go for a Steven Adams type. I don't know. Phoenix is very interesting because he doesn't have to play 40 minutes. He can get the offensive rebounds, and he does provide some physicality that team just doesn't have. The Lakers are so desperate for a 5. I could see them going after a bunch. There's a bunch of 5s that I have listed here. It's a deep center class, I'll say that. But you see the Lakers down here, they struggle with offensive rebounding. How many blocks per game do they average? And not a ton, but that's also AD was there for a while, who gives you rim protection. So the Lakers maybe could get a Steven Adams because I doubt they're going to be shilling out a ton of big money with Luka's payday coming up. Miami's not in a spot to do that. They have Kalel and Bam. They're fine down low. The Bulls, I think Vooch is gone soon, but I don't think they reach for a Steven Adams. Why would they? They're not close to contention. Dallas, they have 5 big men. They don't need them. Clippers have Zoo. I think they'll be all right. I don't know. Maybe if Phoenix would reach for a guy like a Steven Adams. I like Steven Adams a lot. Malik Beasley, of course, in the same breath as Gary Trent Jr., but coming off a better season. I could really see Detroit extending him long-term here. That's one where if Detroit lets him walk, I mean, I don't think it's going to be a bad move because Malik Beasley's been another one up and down in his NBA career. You know, with Milwaukee, it wasn't always the best. He wasn't a very good defender last year with them. Malik Beasley is a very good NBA player. Probably talks, I'm going to be honest, this is going to sound mean, talks too much for a guy of his caliber. Talks a lot. Like when he said he could lock up James Harden, that's easy clamps. You're Malik Beasley. Come on now, dog. You're easy clamps. Just force you off the line. And then he's also like being down 3-1. That's cake, whatever on Twitter. Shut up. Just be quiet. I like a guy with some confidence, some moxie as much as the next guy. But you're Malik Beasley, and he hasn't hit many threes in this series. He's been very unimpactful in the playoffs so far. You can't be serious. You're still tweeting. If Malik Beasley was perspicacious, I believe that's the word, he would probably take a deal with the Pistons and stay here. A guy like Cade will feed him the ball and get him open looks, and all he's got to do is hit them, which he hasn't done in the playoffs at all. But he's going to take the largest bag possible, I'd assume. Tim Hardaway Jr. is in that same breath where he'll take whatever contract's thrown at him. He's been all right in the playoffs, honestly. For a Pistons team that needs volume scoring, you're going to let a guy like THJ just kind of chuck. The Dallas Mavericks were through that experience for a while. They went through that for a while where it was Luka and THJ in the backcourt, and it was just who's going to get up more shots between the two. Another one who's been a big role player in the playoffs so far is B-Ball Paul from DePaul. I love saying that. He's another one where he plays a good backup 5. I don't see why teams don't want a Paul Reed. He can play backup wing if you really need to, like backup 3-4. He can't guard guards. He's not like that. But B-Ball Paul is a switchable big man who I think he can hit the 3 ball a little bit. I haven't checked his 3-point percentage. We could talk about Dennis Schroeder. Again, modern day slavery. I don't know. I like me some Dennis Schroeder as much as the next guy, but I'm not sure exactly where he's going to sign or what he wants his role to be on a team, because he's another one that kind of strives when the ball is in his hands more. He's a very good player, don't get me wrong, but you saw it with Golden State. Golden State kind of took the ball out of his hands. He was fantastic in Brooklyn. Why was he fantastic in Brooklyn? Because they let him just go. They were like, screw it. We're down 30. We're up 30. Go, Dennis. And then he goes to Golden State, and it becomes he's not even a primary or secondary ball handler. Their primary ball handler is goddamn Steph Curry. Their secondary ball handler is Draymond Green. He's their second. He's probably the best passer. So Dennis Schroeder wasn't really given the ball much in Detroit. He's a guy who strives when his role is bigger. He's a guy that kind of needs volume to be effective. Spencer Dinwiddie is in that same breath as Dennis Schroeder, of a guy who needs the ball to be effective. He needs to have volume shots. He needs to be able to get loose, kind of run a bench unit maybe. Spencer Dinwiddie isn't a bad player at all. I'm not a big fan of the guy personally. I think he's an all-right NBA player, but he can provide some bench punch. But if you want bench punch, it's right here. I just switched those somehow. I don't even know how I just did that. Ty Jerome. Don't even know how I did that. But Ty Jerome, coming off of his best season of his career, electric shooter, just buried the Heat last night badly. Well, it wasn't just him. The Heat buried the Heat too. But Ty Jerome was a force for that Cavs offense, and he has been all season, man. When Ty Jerome's got that three-point ball working, I don't know what to do. I don't know what a bench unit can really do. And he's going to get him. He worked himself into a bag. This was a guy who was a fringe. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Ty Jerome was a guy that I thought could be fringe out of the league soon, and instead he might be getting a max from a team this summer. I don't think it'll be. I don't think Cleveland has the money to max him out. I'd have to check that one out. But a team that needs bench scoring, a bench punch, could really use a guy like Ty Jerome. The worst team in the league by bench points is the Knicks. I don't think they're going to be the team to pay Ty Jerome. The Lakers is an interesting spot, but again, I don't know if they have the money for that. Sacramento just brought in just hired Doug Christie full-time as their head coach. That's interesting, but again, I don't even know what their franchise's direction is, much less, I can't predict what your free agency is going to be like when Vivek Ranadive on a day-to-day basis doesn't know what he's doing either. Denver's low on bench points. That'd be an interesting spot for a Ty Jerome. That'd be a very fun spot for a Ty Jerome. That'd get shit started in Denver. Boston, no room. Philadelphia, it's a spot. It's a spot because they're shedding a lot of money. No Yabusele. You're hoping. I think they're praying to God that Kelly Oubre doesn't pick up that extension. But there's also the Paul George issue. That's a separate thing altogether. I don't know who could really use a Ty Jerome. The Clippers, I don't know if they have the money for that. Houston, we'll get into Freddie later. Let's keep going, though. Sam Merrill, another bench shooter. Same breath as Beasley, Hardaway, Trent types. D'Angelo Russell. He's going to stay in Brooklyn. He's another guy like Dennis Schroeder who wants volume and wants the ball in his hands a million times, and he wants to lead a team to 20 wins. That's the D'Angelo Russell way. He doesn't want to play competitive basketball. He wants to have the ball in his hands. He wants to be able to drop 40 and lose by 20 at the same time. Luke Cornett just feels like a Lakers pickup. They stink at offensive rebounding, and they have no big man. If you bring in Luke Cornett, you automatically get one of the best per rate offensive rebounding big men in basketball. And on top of that, he can defend at the rim a little bit. And they don't have a center at all. They have honestly no center play. If you look at the free agents I listed, Jackson Hayes is a free agent. He was not listed. Alex Len was a free agent. He was not listed. Why? Because I don't know if either one should be holding an NBA job after this season. Alex Len specifically. Please retire, Alex Len. Karis LeVert is up here. Karis LeVert is a scoring bench option. And then Clint Capella, who's another one that could go to Charlotte. Yeah, they could patchwork it and go with Clint Capella. It depends on what the draft looks like for a lot of these bottom barrel teams. Once the lottery begins or ends, and then we know where everyone's picking, then it becomes a little bit easier to formulate NBA free agency. But as for right now, I'm just going off of who doesn't have a damn center on roster. Like I'm Tony Soprano. I got to add the sh in there. But yeah, Clint Capella to the Hornets would make sense. It's a lob threat for LaMelo, and it's rim protection, when in all reality their perimeter defense was Swiss cheese last year, it looked like. So I don't know. I mocked like 4 guys going to the Hornets, and they're all big men. What does that tell you? Now we can scroll down into the easy option pickups category that I have listed here. Kyrie Irving, $44 million on a player option. Easy. Coming off an ACL tear, why would he leave? Makes no sense for him to, so he's going to pick it up. Russ, $3.5 million player option is maybe one of the harder ones that I've seen, because could he go somewhere else and get more than $3.5 million? Maybe. Real hard maybe there. But Russell Westbrook is a guy where I don't know if teams would really... it's not a dig on Russ to say. I don't know how many teams would want Russ, but it's just because it's the Russ pendulum, bro. And Nuggets fans have lived through that all season. It's the Russ pendulum. When you have Russell Westbrook on your team, you're going to get stretches of brilliant play where he looks like the smartest damn player on the floor. He's cutting well, drives to the basket well, he's getting blocks. Like, Russell Westbrook goes through stretches where he looks like one of the best bench pieces in basketball at the moment. And then there's also throwing the ball out of bounds, Russell Westbrook dribbling it off his foot, Russell Westbrook turning the ball over a ton, Russell Westbrook blowing a layup, Russell Westbrook driving into 5 people on a fast break, Russell Westbrook. There's ends. There's polar ends to the Russell Westbrook spectrum. And I just think he'd pick up the player option because playing with Jokic, he's looked the best he has in a little bit, so that might help. Quentin Post, 1.95 on a team option. He showed that last night at the time of recording. He had a fantastic game against the Rockets, hit like 4 threes or something. He had like 2 or 3 in the first half. I was like, yeah, this guy's got it going. He's shown that he can be a viable center option for the Warriors, so I would expect him to get picked up. Only $2 million, by the way. That's a steal. Jimbo Harden, $36 million on a player option. I think that's an easy pickup simply because the Clippers have been very impressive this season, and James Harden's a big reason why. And they may go to the second round. They may not. They're in a dog fight against the Nuggets right now, so they may or may not see the second round. But either way, I could see James Harden staying with the Clippers. He's from California. So that definitely helps. You know, he's from the area. And on top of that, Clippers got a new arena. They're turned up. They're having fun this year. At least they had a lot of fun. Watching this team play was some of the most fun I've had watching a Clippers team in a while. I would expect Harden to want to stay there. Nick Batum, $5 million on a player option. This is not one where it's like, yeah, it's an easy pickup for the franchise. It's a player option, so obviously they have no say. But Batum, $5 million. No one's going to be paying Nick Batum $5 million next year, so I'd assume he picks that up. LeBron, $52 million on a player option. They got him Luka, and then he always does this. LeBron's been doing this every year of his career. He signs like a 2+1 or a 1+1 deal just so that way he could opt out and get a bigger bag, or he can opt in and make $52 million. I'd say there's almost a 100% chance he stays in LA. Bobby Portis, $13.5 million. Get well soon. Bobby Portis' grandfather, I think he said that on the broadcast the other day. $13.5 million. I don't see Bobby Portis getting that anywhere else. And on top of that, he seems to like Milwaukee, so that's easy. Mo Wagner with a team option for $11.5. I think this one's easy simply because the connection, Franz is right there. That's his brother, as well as he was playing really good basketball until the ACL tear. I believe it was an ACL tear, right? All things considered, if you've been around the channel long enough, you know I do not like Mo Wagner at all. Not one bit. He's the most niche NBA player I don't like. But what he provides is a lot of value for Orlando as a bench big man, especially since, man, with Wendell Carter out of the game in this playoff series, they've looked bad when Wendell sits. Another easy one, Jalen Williams. This is J-Will, not J-Dub, for $2 million on a team option. He's played great. Like, when Shea's out, triple doubles. He's at like 4. Like, it's ridiculous what he's done in that time when Shea and them are out or when they're resting players. And so yeah, $2 million, easy pickup. Matisse Thybulle, $11.5 million on a player option. Who the hell let that happen? How the hell did Matisse Thybulle get an $11.5 million player option? It's Matisse Thybulle. And then we'll move on to John Collins, $26.5 million on a player option. I think he'll pick that up. The Jazz have been edging a John Collins move for a while, where they're like, we're going to do it, and then they don't move him. And then it's like John Collins is on the market again, and then he doesn't move. John Collins is in a really weird spot where it feels like he's getting offered to every team in the league, and every team in the league is like, I don't know about that one, because his defense is bad. His offense is very good. He shoots the ball well. He can attack closeouts. He can just attack off the dribble. He's a decent little roll man, too, because he has bungees. He has springs in his shoes. But defensively, he's disgustingly bad. And yeah, I could see John Collins taking that player option and just being like, all right, whatever, 26.5 mil. I could chill in Utah for another year. And then the easiest one of them all is Chris Middleton, $33 million on a player option with the Washington Wizards. Who the hell is going to pay Chris Middleton more than $33 million? Why would he turn that down? He's not getting $33 million from anybody else. He might not even get, if he opted out of that deal, would Chris Middleton even get $33 million total on his next contract? I don't know. He'd be a guy that'd be searching for like a 2-year, $12 million per year type thing. I don't know. He's all right, but $33 million, he ain't getting more than that. That's an easy pickup. And then the last category I have is RFA interesting. These are restricted free agents that I view that are like, hey man, if they make it to unrestricted free agency and or the team doesn't match the offer that gets sent to them, they're going to make some noise in this league. Jabari Walker. Many people don't pay attention to Portland, but he had a great year last year, silently great year. Shot the best he ever did from the three-point line. Knocking down corner threes was like his biggest thing. On top of that, he's a good 4 that can play the 5. He played a lot of minutes at the 5, but also he did share the court with Donovan Clingan for a little bit. I think it'd be really fun to run him with Clingan at the same time because Jabari Walker has decent little foots on him. He can shuffle him a little bit, and Clingan obviously protects the rim at such a great rate. But if he does end up in a unrestricted free agency, a couple of teams could really use a guy like Jabari Walker. I could even see him with like the Bucks or something like that, because he can knock down a 3 here and there. He didn't get a lot of PT last year, but that's just because of how loaded that front court situation was in Portland. You know, you're talking about Denny Avdija, who's playing the 4, Jeremy Grant playing the 4, and then Ayton, Rob, and Clingan at the 5. Like it's a stacked Duop, Reith, Toumani Camara can both play the big. Like it's such a stacked front court room in Portland. Jabari Walker really didn't even get the chance to play. Obviously, the big guy who had the most big blow-up games this season, most randomly, was Quentin Grimes. He had a couple of 40 balls, I think, in there. Quentin Grimes is he's had a really good year. No matter where he's gone, he's had a really good year, it feels like. He played well in Philly. He played well in Dallas. He played well in, I think that was his last spot. Either way, Quentin Grimes has had a fantastic season. He's earned himself some money, but Philadelphia is on the table for that Paul George deal, is on the table for that Maxey deal and Joel Embiid's deal. And I'd assume Kelly Oubre would take his option. He's not in. Kelly Oubre wasn't in the interesting options category because I'm not sure. It's only like $8 million, and Kelly Oubre might be able to get that. But Quentin Grimes, if he hits unrestricted free agency somehow, that'd make it really interesting, yo. That would be very fun. Explosive score, volume score. Like I said, he's done it on the teams that he played on. People are like, at the beginning of the season, I started thinking maybe it was like Dennis Schroeder type, where it's like, okay, he needs the ball a ton to be effective. And then he goes to Dallas, and he's playing with, at the time, injured. Luka was injured, but like Najee Marshall was still there. Klay Thompson was still there, and he shined there too. And it's just, he had a really fantastic season, and him getting traded for Caleb Martin was peak Nico Harrison idiot moment. But somebody's going to pay Quentin Grimes. I'm just not sure who yet. We can move on to the guy who built up his most value in the second half of this season, Davion Mitchell. His value, if you asked me at the beginning of the season when he was with Toronto, I'd have been like, hell nah. He might even be out the league. But you saw what he did in Miami in that play-in tournament and even some of the playoffs where he's had really strong stretches of play. That fourth quarter of game 2 or 3, I think it was 3. No, it was game 2. It was definitely game 2. But Davion's had some flashes and some moments of brilliant play as a member of the Miami Heat. I could see them extending him. Obviously, he comes with his reputation of being an elite defender, as well as he's learned how to maybe put the ball in the basket a little bit. He is older than you would expect for a guy who's just hitting restricted free agency after his rookie deal, I believe. But Davion Mitchell played his way into another contract in the back half of this season and the play-in and the playoffs a little bit. Davion's shown some flashes of impressive play. I'm happy for him. Sold to the highest bidder, Santi Aldama. Whoever pays Santi Aldama the most will probably be getting Santi Aldama. I don't see the Grizzlies matching a deal that's like 4 years for Santi. If they do, they do. And I'll put my hands up and say, all right, my bad. But I think Santi's going to take whatever contract he gets that's the biggest. Santi played a very big role in the Memphis Grizzlies this year. He's able to take the ball off the dribble. He's got very, very plus size. Like, he's a big dude. can knock down the open three, even though his jump shot looks like it hurts. Plays smooth for a guy of his size. He defends really well. Santi Aldama is an interesting player that I'm a fan of. I think any team that needs wing depth could really use a Santi Aldama. Could I see him in like in Orlando? No, they're more desperate for a guard. Who needs wing play that bad? Denver getting a Santi Aldama? Be kind of interesting. It'd have to be a swap. I'd assume Porter will be moved in that deal. Who else can use some wing scoring? None of these playoff teams. Why is it set the playoffs? I don't know. Kings are in such a... I hate what the Kings are doing right now. Miami, they have Jovic and Wiggins, and they got a bunch of wings. Phoenix might. Phoenix could... that's a potential player right there, because Santi can take it off the dribble. He can pass really well. He's just a smart basketball player, and I think the Suns just need anybody with a damn brain in their head to play on their team. Lakers don't need wing depth. They have RJ, Scotty, and Ingram now. Brooklyn, they got money to throw. They might throw a bag at Santi. They might. Then you got the Pelicans. No. Charlotte, dude, do I just keep mocking people to Charlotte? Not a bad idea. Wizards wouldn't be a bad option either. They need veteran leadership, I guess. Kind of. Middleton's going to be there. So is not Malcolm Brogdon. Marcus Smart. I don't know. Who do you guys think Santi Aldama will go to? I think he's one of the more interesting players in this free agency class. As we move on to Isaiah Jackson. Ijax. Fun little energy forward, big. You know, he can dunk the damn ball. I watched him at Kentucky. He was very energetic. He doesn't necessarily play the best, like, clean game. I'm not saying he's a dirty player. I'm saying, like, he doesn't hit threes. He's not a 3-and-D guy. He's not doing all this stuff. But he's a hustle guy. Jonathan Kuminga. It's another interesting spot where I don't know who wants that because he doesn't defend very well. He's not getting playoff PT for a reason. He's been very unimpressive in a majority of his NBA career besides flashes of scoring. And maybe a Brooklyn would send a deal at Kuminga, you know, just to kind of be like, hey, we'll take him if you don't want him. Kuminga's in a weird spot where he can score the ball, but he's so bad defensively and so bad. What is this? He's so bad defensively where it's like, I don't know. A team that's trying to have fun and run. Maybe LaMelo wants Jonathan Kuminga as a teammate. Hell yeah, that'd be fun. That's a nice little Chris Paul and Blake Griffin kind of thing, except Blake Griffin could actually play basketball beyond just scoring it. Josh Giddey, easy one. He's going to get extended by the Bulls, I'd say. He became a triple-double god down the stretch for whatever the hell reason. I don't know. Josh Giddey was playing out of his damn mind in the back half of last year, so I could see Josh Giddey getting a paycheck from Chicago. Trey Mann is an interesting option who had a really good year in Charlotte going until he got hurt. And then the season went downhill. I could really see Trey Mann being a bench scorer for somebody, but I think Charlotte would just keep him. And then the trifecta of Nets, Day'Ron Sharpe, Cam Thomas, Zaire Williams. Day'Ron Sharpe, I like a lot, dude. I think a lot of people don't pay attention to Day'Ron Sharpe because the Nets are horrific. Makes sense to me. But Day'Ron Sharpe provides a lot of hustle. He can protect the rim a little bit. I think he's been a good offensive rebounder, though. Give me 1 minute. Well, I said he could hit a three. He stepped out and took 40 of them this year. He hit 38% from the corner, only 13 attempts. Why was he taking so many above the break threes? Oh my God. But all things considered, Day'Ron Sharpe is hustle. Look at these on-off numbers. And I know on-off numbers don't mean everything. But this is very good on-off numbers for a guy who didn't even play 900 minutes in all reality. Plus defender. Day'Ron Sharpe does a lot of things well. I'm a big Day'Ron Sharpe guy myself. And then Cam Thomas. Everyone knows Cam Thomas, the explosive scorer, the offensive dynamo, whatever you want to call him. He's literally just that. I don't want to gas him up to be more than just that. He's a fun punch scorer, but he is not going to carry your team. He is not a top 50 player in the NBA. He's not a lot of things, but what he is a great scorer and a crafty one at that too. And then whoever the hell cares about Zaire Williams, he's some size. It's a low ball offer. I don't think Brooklyn really wants him. He showed nothing last year of importance from what I remember. I've been so disappointed with Zaire Williams. Editor Matt, an hour later after recording, realizing that I never talked about some of the more important ones. I just kind of forgot, I guess. I don't know. I'm an idiot. We have Caleb Houstan here. This is the tough options category. Caleb Houstan has a team option. Of course, he's the best shooter on the team when they have none. So it'll be really interesting to see if the Orlando Magic decide to bring him back or if they just invest in shooting this offseason and say, bye-bye, Caleb. Here's the tougher ones, though. We got Julius Randle, $31 million on a player option. That's tough. Julius Randle has played very well in this first-round series so far against the Lakers. This is a guy who has shown to not have the brightest or best playoff pedigree out there, but if he has one good playoff run, he can run himself into a next bag. Down the stretch of this last season, regular season, and now playoffs, Julius Randle has shown that he can be a very good sidekick, second option, whatever you want to call him, for Anthony Edwards. He's been very good defensively. Go watch some of his defensive possessions on like LeBron and stuff. He guards really well. He's been very good in the playoffs so far, Julius Randle. I just don't know what the future looks like for them. Are they going to extend Julius Randle? I wouldn't blame, at this point, I don't think I can blame them if they do. He's been fantastic. Defensively, he's making all the plays necessary. Offensively, sure, he takes a bunch of tough shots that don't often go in the basket sometimes, those mid-ranges where he's kicking his legs and stuff. But he's needed in their offense. You know what I mean? They need a big playmaker. He can pass well. The other day, he had no turnovers in a playoff game. None. It's Julius Randle. This is a guy whose composure and body language was dictating his entire career up to that point. And Julius Randle is now in a spot where he can damn near opt out of that, and he might be getting a bigger bag. Or he opts in and says, all right, extend me now. I don't know. I think he could opt out, and I think I would opt out if I was Julius Randle and just say I want the long-term money. I think that'd be the best move for Julius Randle moving forward is to opt out. But for Minnesota, you probably want... would Minnesota want him to opt in? I don't know. Tough one. Even tougher one. His teammate, Naz Reid, $15 million on a player option. Oh my God, that's the toughest one. $15 million on a player option. There's no shot in hell he takes that. There's no reason for him to. If he hits the open market, he would probably get paid more than that yesterday. $15 million for a guy who is finishing top 5 and 6 man of the year like every year. $15 million for a guy who's been maybe their second best player in the playoffs so far. $15 million for a guy who affords you the luxury and ability to take Gobert out of the game at will. There was stretches in that game against the Lakers where Gobert was not playable, and so they put in Naz Reid, and they went on a nice run. Naz Reid has been integral to them whenever their offense looks great, whenever the Timberwolves in general look like the championship contender that they kind of shown so far. It's been because Naz and Jaden have been very good offensive pieces, and that's no different. I mean, Naz Reid is integral to what they need to do. Naz Reid is a fantastic player, and he's probably going to get maxed out by somebody. I just don't know. The Timberwolves are in a really weird spot with these two sitting here with player options on the table that I doubt either one picks up. T-Wolves fans, talk to me down below about that. It's a really awkward situation, man. You hope that they come back, but at the same time, dude, Lore and A-Rod were talking about making pay cuts already. I don't know what the future holds for Minnesota. It's kind of scary, to be honest with you. So you just kind of have to enjoy it now, I guess, because you don't know what the future is going to be. KPJ has $2 million on a player option. KPJ has been the Bucks' second best player because Dame's been hurt, and now he's done for a calendar year at least. So I don't know. Dame's done, and there's no easy way of saying that because Achilles tears are one of the worst in the sport, one of the worst in sports. Like in general, I don't think I've ever seen any athlete really come back from an Achilles tear and be the exact same. Even KD. KD's been probably the best example, but even that, it's like, what? I don't know. His production's fallen off, but at the same time, it's like, well, age also has to do with that. Whatever. But KPJ has been a very big contributor on a Bucks team that's making an attempt to go somewhere. So I'm interested in what that's going to be like. DFS, $15 million player option. He should probably pick that up. I don't think he's going to get $15 million annually anywhere else right now. And plus, he likes playing with Luka. He's always mentioned that he's a big, him and Luka have a good relationship. So I'd assume he wants to stay in Lakerville. I don't know, whatever you call it. And yeah, I assume DFS is going to stay in LA. Last one we have left is Dick Van Meet, Fred Van Vliet, Fred Van Skeet, whatever you want to call him. Fred Van Vliet, $45 million on a team option. The Rockets have a lot of team options. Look at their books. I have it pulled up right here. Look at the amount of team options we got here. Freddie on a team option. We got Jalen Green on a team option for this year. We got Jabari Smith on a couple of team options. Here's Ben Thompson. That's team control of a rookie deal. Jeff Green on a team option. Jayshawn Tate on a team option. Al P's got his, but that's, again, rookie scale deals. But the reason why I'm so interested in what Fred VanVleet, Dick Van Meet is doing in this free agency class, it's because he has had one good playoff game. One. It was yesterday's game. He hit 8 threes. He was huge. Still airballed the last one. But most importantly, the Rockets are young and they have guard depth. That's one thing they have. They have Reed Sheppard, who they drafted, 3rd overall this last season. He's going to need some PT eventually, unless you're just admitting you torched a 3rd overall pick. So Reed Sheppard's going to need some PT. Amen can run the guard spot, I believe. I still fully believe that he could be a 1 to a 2. It just depends. And overall, they need him, though. When he wasn't there through portions of the regular season, they look really bad. Like, I think their worst skid of the season was in, like, January when Freddie was out. It was when Freddie was out, I'll tell you that much, where they looked not great, and they slipped down a bunch. Freddie came back. They played a lot better. So they need Freddie, but at the same time, bro, $45 million for, how old is Fred VanVleet? Freddie's about to be 31 this upcoming season. 31-year-old Freddie. $45 million. That's a really tough one. I personally would probably pick it up, give one more year of Reed Sheppard to develop, and buy Reed Sheppard another year, and he wouldn't be immediately thrown into the fire for a team that now has playoff expectations. You were the 2 seed. Like, you don't want to just be a 2 seed that suddenly doesn't make the playoffs next year. That's not a good look at all. So Fred VanVleet is in a very interesting spot, but I still believe that Houston should pick up that option. But let me know down below, Rockets fans and Timberwolves fans. Y'all are the ones that are in the weirdest positions going into free agency, especially Timberwolves fans, man. Y'all are probably going through it right now. You know, you're going to win a first-round series, and that's sick as hell. You're going to upset the Lakers, who are viewed as favorites. That's so sick. But at the same time, are you worried that the end of the season might bring an end to this team? And then Rockets fans, they're in a similar, or they're kind of in an opposite boat, to be honest. They're about to get upset by the 7 seed, and it's like, well, do you still want Fred around? Because in the first few games, he looked really bad. First 3 games of the series, he looked really bad. So, I don't know. Talk to me down below, but I did the sign out on the last one, so I don't need to do it here. Talk to me down in the comments about what your favorite team should do in free agency. What free agents do you like? Which ones do you think will get the biggest payday? This is a nice little conversation about free agency between me and the camera, and then hopefully me and you down in the comments. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to catch a game. I'll see you guys in the next one.